start recording and then we'll get going.
We're recording.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Randolph Meiklejohn. I'm a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the town of Brookline and the chair of this evening's meeting. Before we begin, I will confirm that all members and other persons anticipated to participate on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Wadner Auger.
Here.
Stephen Brooks.
Here.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Nicole Perret.
Here.
Jess Jean-Louis.
Here.
Here.
Paul Campbell.
Here.
All speakers should identify themselves by name prior to speaking. This meeting of the ZBA in open session is being conducted remotely and in a manner that is consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which authorizes this body to meet entirely remotely so long as adequate alternative means of public access is provided. Adequate public access does not include public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the ZBA is convening by video conference via Zoom as posted on the town's calendar, which identifies how the public may access the meeting. Be advised that this meeting is being held and some attendees may be participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that others may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town website through a link in the agenda. The meeting will follow the agenda unless I note otherwise. Next, I will cover some ground rules that will permit clear and effective conduct of our business and help to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will invite each member by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold yours until your name is called. Please also remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. Before responding, please wait until the floor is yielded to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through me. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call. Finally, I'll explain how members of the public may speak in this meeting. If you wish to speak, you may either raise your hand using the Zoom feature intended for that, or you can send a chat message to our host, Nicole. Nicole, I'm going to ask you to just help me look for raised hands and to tell me about any requests to speak that you receive via the chat. I will try to call on members of the public in the order their requests were received. When it is your turn to speak, I will call on you by name only. Please begin your remarks by confirming your name and stating your address. All right, and now we will go to the agenda. We have 4 cases on the agenda this evening, and we're going to hear them in the order in which they appear there. For each of the cases to be heard, this is how we're going to proceed. I will introduce the case by number and address and identify the applicant or person who will speak on the applicant's behalf and ask if they will waive a reading of the public notice. The applicant will present the request for relief and, if the board requests it, the design of the project. And board members may ask questions of the applicant. Next, we will hear public comment. First, I will call on those members of the public wishing to speak in favor of the project and then on those opposed. We will then hear the reports of the planning department and of the planning board and comments by the building department. Finally, the board will deliberate and give its decision. All right, now to cases. Our first case this evening is number 2025-000010. This concerns property at 30 Stetson Street, and the project is to demolish an existing single-family dwelling and construct a new single-family dwelling. Jennifer, I believe you were here on behalf of the applicant, and if the applicant is here, please introduce them also. And will you waive a reading of the public notice?
Yes, I will waive the reading of the notice.
Thank you. Please tell the board about your request for relief.
Yes, I will. My name is Jennifer DePazzo Gilbert, and I represent the owners of 30 Stetson Street. They are on with me this evening. The owners is Bharath Sankaran and his wife Shruti Soni. And this is a home that they are very much looking forward to moving in with their extended family and make their lifelong home in Brookline. Also with me this evening is Chadi Kawakabani, who is the owner's project representative, and has been very much involved throughout the design process and assisted with this project. And then finally, and most importantly tonight probably, is Carrie Yoon, the architect. And this project is located in a T5 NH district. It went to the Preservation Commission, and the Preservation Commission did impose a stay of demolition, but that has expired. It expired in April of 2025. The house is located on a lot that contains 5,000 square feet. Again, it's in the T5 NH district. The proposal here requires relief through special permit for design review under 5.09220, which is a relatively new section of the bylaw, which requires a special permit for design review for any full demo where the Preservation Commission has found a structure historically significant. It also requires a special permit relief for front yard setback. It no longer requires any relief for the max building depth. We did revise the plans to move the deck back from the shed structure and met with the building commissioner on that. So relief can be granted through special permit relief, and there is an extensive landscape plan, which you'll see in a moment. And we've also prepared a presentation to show you with regard to the community impact statement that was also filed in writing. But we prepared a presentation to show relationship of the structure to the neighborhood. And with that, if you would entertain Carrie, she would come on. Here she is now, and make her presentation and go through the plans, if that's acceptable.
Yes, just a couple of questions as we get into that, Jennifer. The board received there were two sets of drawings that we received, the most recent of which is dated June 6th.
Yes.
And are we seeing something later than that? Or are we seeing those
No,
drawings?
no, that is the latest, the June 6th, and there were two revisions to those plans. After meeting with the building commissioner, we no longer need the variance for the building depth that was cited by planning because the deck was moved back, but also the building commissioner had a concern with the deck on top of the shed with respect to a code issue, so that was removed as well. Those were the only two changes, and Carrie can go over those.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm glad Mr. Campbell is here, so I'm sure we'll hear a little replay from the building department when you get to that. But yeah, happy to have a look at the design. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you, Carrie. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Carrie Yoon. I'm the architect for 30 Stetson Street, and I will share with you the design and some slides that we've prepared to show our relationship and to the neighborhood. If you can bear with me just for a moment while I find the right slide. Are you able to see my slides?
I think it's about to, there it is.
Okay.
We've got your whole
Great.
PowerPoint.
All right. So this is 30 Stetson Street. And we started this about a little over a year and a half ago. And when we first met with a client, there were several goals that we had in mind. One was to create a home that would be suitable for the client and their needs. And at the same time, design a house that would stand the test of time and would be timeless and fit within the neighborhood. I believe that we can do contemporary buildings without it being, something that is modern and does not fit in with its context. And we went to great lengths to create a building that would meet those goals. In doing so, a big part of our efforts was to carefully look at the guidelines. The zone T5NH section has very specific guidelines as far as the types of roofs, the types of dormers, those type of things. And we were very careful to make sure that we complied with all of those things as we designed the building. I'll take you quickly through the site. We are a single family house in a very typical 50-foot by 100-foot lot on Stetson Street. We are compliant with all of the setbacks, and in massing, we are a 2.5-story single family home with a gable roof. We have articulations and projections on most of the facades, as well as dormers, which we used as a design tool to break up the facade and bring character and articulation. As I understand, one of the main principles of allowing for projections and dormers is to bring interest and character and articulation to the building design. Taking you around the building, this is the north side. We're very aware that the north and the south are the ones where we have neighbors, and the east and the west are the front and rear yards. We have bays and articulations. We have dormers. We have a little bit more windows that are articulating what is the main vertical circulation or the main stair within the house. But everything else is meant to be kind of a little bit more modest in scale. The windows are not large. And the only areas where we have the larger windows is, I will show you in a moment, in the section where the main vertical circulation of the house is. And then in the rear of the house, these are where we have some large windows. We have balconies. This is the most private side of the dwelling. And we wanted to take advantage of the connection of indoor to outdoor, the large open windows for light, and balconies for connection. On the south side, we reserved a big portion of the roof where we get the most sun to do the solar panels. And again, we have some dormers, but the windows are not extensive on this side. In plan, I'll take you through the various levels. Street level, we have a single car garage. The owner has one car and they intend to park it in the garage. They're a family with 3 growing kids. They were very interested in having a garage, but not having something that would take over the facade. So we made a decision very early on to keep it a 1-car garage so that the facade was well proportioned without a large garage door opening. On the main level, we have a parlor, and what is
Ms. Yoon, can I just give you a little guidance on your presentation, just to keep it really aligned with the jurisdiction of this board. I would say we have very little need to see the inside of the building.
Okay.
And I think that the relief that the applicant is requesting means that we ought to be focusing on the exterior, as you've mostly done up to now, and that's helping us. We'll get to the multi-point statement, and I'd like to have a look at the site plan, especially on the street end, where there's relief sought for parking in the front setback.
Sure.
And that would be great if we could focus on that.
Okay. So to take you back, this is the site plan. Stetson Street is to the right. We have the 20-foot setback from the property line to the front of the garage, as is required by zoning, and the 15-foot setback for the main portion of the house.
I think the reason we were cited, Randolph, for the parking was, as anywhere in town where there's a garage, you can always park a second car, and that happens, as you know, all over town in that driveway area. So that would, I think, apply to every single garage that has a setback of 20 feet in town. We don't have a second car at this time, but obviously that could happen in the future as the kids get their driver's licenses. But right now there's one car. It's intended to be parked in the garage, but we were cited because a car could speculatively park in that space. And so we would seek the necessary setback relief for that.
Sure. Yep. Yes, I agree. Very familiar condition.
Yeah.
Thanks for that clarification. Can we hear a little bit about the, and I don't want to get too far down the road with the comments we'll ask for from the building department, but just the extension of the house to the back and the deck and so on, the shed.
Yeah, sure. So Carrie, if you wouldn't mind going over just dimensionally that, and then I can speak to the relief on that.
So the deck in the rear, it extends into the backyard 15 feet, which is half of the distance of the setback. The one-story shed it's set back from both the rear and the side yard lots by 6 feet, and is the 150 square foot allowable for an accessory shed structure. And it is connected to the yard. There isn't much more as far as that goes.
Okay, so we were cited by the planning department, not the building commission, the planning department, for max building depth requiring a variance here, because the planning department's interpretation was that because the deck was connected to the shed, it applied to the max building depth. Now, if you read 5.93, I don't think that interpretation stands, because under 5.93, building depth shall be measured from the facade as the maximum length to the furthest exterior wall of a principal structure. The building depth measurement shall not include unenclosed porches, balconies, and decks. And we were not cited under 5.72, which is an accessory building or structure in the rear yard. And under that section, which we were not cited for, it says an accessory building cannot be closer than 6 feet to a principal building. And with the deck unattached and open, not enclosed, we also don't trigger that, and we're not cited. And in fact, and I'm sure Paul Campbell will speak to this, ironically, if we removed the deck, built the house, and then came back, and we could get a permit for a deck. So it's not attached. We weren't cited for it. And that was the change that both Dan Bennett and Paul Campbell recommended, including the code issue about taking that play area off the top of the shed, which was done.
Okay. Do you want to summarize some of the points from the community and environmental impact report?
Yes, absolutely. Carrie was just going to show you how this building fits into the context of the neighborhood. Carrie, can you jump to that?
Yeah. So
one thing we do have too is an extensive landscape plan. And then when you're ready, Randolph, there's one condition that's recommended by the planning board, which I'm sure we'll hear from Nicole on that I would like to request be modified slightly, and I'll tell you why when we get to that.
Yeah, when we get, sure.
Yeah, but
Sure.
for now, Carrie, why don't you go through the community impact standard and speak to that.
Sure. So we wanted to take a walk through the neighborhood to show how our house would fit in with the community. As you can see, one of the beautiful things about Brookline is that it is neighborhoods with diverse buildings of different types, scales. We have 1 family, 2 family, 3 family, and multifamily on this street. And we're just going to quickly walk through some of the areas. This is on the Dwight side of the street, looking down Stetson, mostly single family and 2 family houses. This is on the Freeman side. You can see that there is a multi-story, multi-unit condo building to the right. And walking in slightly, we have a 2 family on the right with garage. You see our site, which currently has the brown hip roof building right here on the right. And then to the left are multiple 2 family mostly condominium houses. And just to show you the diversity of the typologies on the street, we did a quick survey. This is Stetson Street to the bottom of the page. These are some of the houses to the north, mostly 2.5-story buildings, some exceptions, and all varying in character and materials and qualities. And then on the corner and some of the more eccentric areas, we have a single building on a back lot behind number 9. We have 3 families. We have a large single family on this corner. And like I said before, the multifamily unit here. And we show you this just to show you that, our building, even though it's a new building, we took efforts to make sure that it was fitting within the qualities of the neighborhood. And this is a simple diagram showing you all of the different building types, typologies, and we are number 30, single family right there. And just a simple diagram that we created, which is a comparison of the widths of the lots to the widths of the houses on the street. This is just scaled off of a program, and most of the houses to the lot widths are about 0.68, 0.69, of which our house would be very similar. Side yards. This diagram is just showing, a lot of the existing houses are kind of offside a little bit, pushing them to be closer to one side of their lot than the other. Our goal in designing number 30 Stetson was to make sure that we're compliant with all of the current zoning.
Are the red bars showing existing construction in the setback?
Yes, so this is a diagram showing the red dotted line is showing the setbacks on each of these properties. And then the red zones are showing where all of these existing buildings, all of them except for our building, which is new, and number 16, which is a very large site, have some degree of setback into their side yards.
Yeah, I think this was to show the board that we're going to be conforming with the setbacks in most properties here are pre-existing non-conforming as to setbacks.
So, yeah. And quickly to show our property, this is the survey. A couple drawings over top of it to highlight the position of our building, our neighbor building, the setbacks we have to the side yards, our neighbor's setbacks, and all of the conditions around our site. Sorry. And then just to quickly point out, we did the calculations for the open space. We have the landscape open space and the usable open space. The usable open space is 1498, which is the number that we need for that. Combined with the landscape open space, we're 120% over the required total open spaces, and the landscape open space on its own is 175% of the required open space.
Yeah.
And to quickly take you through, one of the concerns during the design meeting was preservation of trees. So I'll take you through the landscape plan. It's not mine, but I can show you. This was done by Urban Horticulture Design LLC, and they've done a very simple landscape design and plan with the intention of looking at the 4 trees that I've highlighted on the site. Number 1 is slated as a small tree, which has been recommended to be removed. Number 2 and 3 would be preserved with a arborist tree protection plan in place. And number 4 technically is not on our site. It's in our neighbor's site, but there was some concern about making sure that we protect that tree as well during the construction. And this is the report with the 4 trees in question highlighted and reviewed.
Thank you.
And that's
So,
what I have.
you can pull down the screen. Thanks, Carrie, so much. And ready to answer any questions or proceed with the reports from other departments, Randolph.
Sure. Thanks, Jennifer. Let me just turn to members of the board. Any questions about the design or any of the applicant's presentations so far? Wagner?
I do not have any question. My initial question was about the house setback in line to the other house in the street, and there was a slide that showed that it's kind of lined up with the two other, one on the side. So it's answered my questions.
Okay, thanks, Wagner. Steve, any questions at this point?
I have no questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I don't think I have any questions either about the design. I would like to say it was a very thoughtful presentation. I appreciated the sort of analytic drawings to accompany. I mean, we have the 5094 statement in writing already, and it's helpful to see some of that in the neighborhood setting as you did it. Jennifer, is there more that you need to do as a argument for relief, or have you said what you have to say?
Yeah, yes, I'll complete my argument for relief now if you'd like.
Yes.
So again, we believe that the relief can be provided by special permit with the extensive landscape plan that we've shown in the tree protection plan. The standards for the special permit relief can be met. The specific site is an appropriate location for the use, structure and conditions. It is an allowed use in this district. It will be a single family home as it was prior. The use as developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. We believe with this plan meeting all of the zoning requirements and with the extensive landscape plan, the 1-car garage and all the setbacks met, that there'll be no adverse effect. It will be a single family use. They have 1 car, it's a growing family. Many of the other uses in this neighborhood are more intensive. There will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. Adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of this single family home. And the development does not have any adverse effect on the supply of housing available for low or moderate income people. So with that, I believe the special permits that are required, the relief can be granted and the standards have been met. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Just turning back to members of the board before I go to public comment. Wagner, any other questions?
No, I do not.
All right, thanks. Steve?
No questions. Thank you.
All right, great.
I just want to make a comment. I just appreciate the details that goes to it in showing you the neighborhood and the map on the scales. I think it's very helpful. I appreciate that.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks, Wagner. Let's go to public comment now. Nicole, do we have members of the public who would like to speak about the project?
No one yet. I sent a reminder in the chat for people to raise their hands. So give it
Okay.
a minute.
I'll just pause. They may have thought they had some time because we were going to have questions, but we didn't have questions. Why don't you go ahead? If someone pops up while you're reading the planning department report, we could still hear them, but why don't you go ahead with the two reports, Nicole?
Okay, great. Good evening. My name is Nicole Perret. I'm the zoning coordinator for the town of Brookline. The planning board voted 3-2 to recommend approval of this proposal to demolish a single-family home at 30 Stetson Street and construct a new single-family dwelling, subject to the conditions outlined in the board's vote, including the addition of a tree protection plan. They were generally supportive and recognized the thoughtful and well-executed design in response to the narrow lot in the T5 NH district. Some members were concerned about the width of the building and potential front yard parking, and others emphasized that the design was successfully balanced zoning compliance, context, sustainability, and needs for multi-generational households. The board noted that the proposed contemporary design enhances the streetscape with high-quality material and detailing and significantly reduces impervious surfaces by not having a traditional side driveway. Given the limited site, the board found that this is one of the best achievable outcomes under these circumstances. Therefore, the planning board recommends approval of the site plan by Christopher C. Charlton, PLS, dated November 4th, 2024, and the architectural plans by Carrie Yoon, RA, dated January 22nd, 2025, subject to the following conditions. Jennifer, was that the correct plan date? I just wanted to confirm because I heard a June date.
I was going to stop
Oh,
you there, Nicole.
Revised, June 6th.
June 6th.
Okay, so that would be the revised June 6th, 2025 plan, subject to conditions. Number 1, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit final floor plans and elevations stamped and signed by a registered architect and a final site plan stamped and signed by a registered engineer or land surveyor to the Director for Regulatory Planning for review and approval. 2, prior to the issuance of the building permit, a construction management plans shall be submitted and approved by the building commissioner. 3, prior to issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit a rodent control plan subject to review and approval of the Director of Health. 4, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit a landscape plan subject to the review and approval of the Director for Regulatory Planning or designee. The counterbalancing amenities must be executed in accordance with the approved plan. 5, a tree protection plan shall be submitted in accordance with the town's tree protection bylaw, and the applicant shall be responsible for removal and replacement of the abutters tree if it dies within the next 5 years. And 6, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit to the building commissioner for review and approval a site plan, floor plan, and elevations displaying the approval stamp of the Director for Regulatory Planning and of evidence the Board of Appeals decision was obtained from the town clerks and by the applicant or representative and recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Thanks, Nicole. I just want to go back to 2 things in the conditions, and then we'll get questions from the board. Jennifer, can you confirm
Yes.
what the counterbalancing amenity is that's referred
Yes.
to in condition 4?
Yes, it's the extensive landscape plans.
It is, the landscaping is the counterbalancing amenity. Okay.
Yes, and I
And
do
was there
have-
another condition you wanted to discuss?
Yes, I do. Condition number 5, we don't agree to in whole. We believe that it should just read that the tree protection plan shall be submitted in accordance with the town's tree preservation bylaw, period. And the rest of that should be deleted. And the reason is because the abutters tree, at first, we've had discussions with the abutter. And initially, he wanted the tree saved. But now we've had some discussions where he may want it removed. It hangs precariously over our property, and there is a concern with the age and the condition that it's in. So we want to continue those discussions. If in the end, the neighbor wants that tree protected, we're going to have to protect it anyway. And we do have a tree protection plan, which is required anyway by the tree preservation bylaw. But if the neighbor decides to remove this tree, we'd like to have that option to assist with that. So we would like to continue those discussions and not have to come back to this board to modify a special permit condition should the neighbor decide to remove that tree, which we don't know what the health is really speaking, but so I think that's sufficient because we have to comply with the tree bylaw anyway.
So the condition that you're seeking, is it sounds like it's just sort of a baseline condition that would, anticipate a construction project happening, and that you'd take reasonable and, affirmative measures to protect the tree during the construction period. That's
Well,
it?
actually, yeah, I mean, it's more than that because the new tree bylaw is now in effect, but the regulations were just adopted by the select board this week, Tuesday night. And they include now, when you go for a building permit, there's some additional information that has to be provided. And if you trigger the tree bylaw, which this project would, you then have to have a tree protection plan in place, including for any abutting trees.
Right.
So we would have to do that anyway. Now, if the neighbor decides that they want to take that tree down because it is sort of hanging over our property precariously, we're in those discussions with the neighbor. I just don't want to prohibit that option. And the way that this reads, it would say, we would be responsible for removal and replacement if it dies within 5 years. Well, if the neighbor wants it to take it down and replace it, everybody would still have to comply with the tree bylaw anyway. And we could work with the neighbor on doing that in a way that it worked for both parties. So I think that it's covered, and I think that that second piece that starts with "and" from condition 5 should be removed.
All right. Is it
Can I-
your view? Yeah, sorry, what I just questioned. Is it your view, Jennifer, that if that with that second part removed, and I understand your request, that the submission and the existence of the tree plan binds you to execute it and follow it during the course of the construction? That's
It
built
does,
into the plan? Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Sorry, was that you, Wadner, speaking up, or Steve?
Yeah, yes, I was gonna
Yeah.
ask some questions similar to you. My reading of this is if during construction excavation, if the root of the tree was to be hit while they're digging, that probably would have triggered the second part of it. But Jennifer, you're saying that basically because of the protection, the applicant will do everything possible to protect whatever when they dig in, not to cause cutting the root of that tree that will result the tree to be extinct, to be died. Is that, I think that's the reason why.
Exactly.
Other questions, Wadner?
Well, I don't know. It's up to the, to the board. I don't know whether we should, I'm fine with it if.
Well,
to
no,
remove it.
we'll get to the
Okay.
deliberations. I just want to know if you have questions about
No,
some of
don't.
the Nicole's report and then the discussion we've had about the conditions.
No, that's fine. We can move
Okay.
forward.
All right, thank you. Steve, any questions here?
I don't have any questions, no.
All right. Let's see. Let's hear from the building department. Paul Campbell.
All right. So I'm not going to repeat everything Attorney DePazzo Gilbert shared earlier, but in a nutshell, we do agree with her assessment of Section 593, Section 520, which is the accessory buildings or structures, her assessment with 5.74, and then the differences between those two sections. 572 more so speaks to the separation of structures, so that would be the principal structure itself and an accessory structure. And then the subsection of 5.74 more speaks to setbacks to deck requirements. And so, yeah, so we agree with her assessment of that. And also the definitions of building depth that was read into the record. And also, just to kind of add a little bit to that, there's also a definition of facade, which is the exterior wall of the principal structure that is the front face of the building. And then it also defines principal structure is the structure in which the principal use is conducted. So, like I said, our office agrees with her assessment of those several sections, and she's 100% correct with the application of the new tree bylaw. So if someone came in for a building permit now, on the public facing side, on the applicant side, they would be asked several questions. depending on how they answer those questions and depending on the proposal, they would automatically trigger the tree bylaw. DPW tree preservation would also automatically be notified at building submission. So I don't think you guys should think too hard about condition number 5.
Okay.
And with, go ahead. Sorry.
Paul, could I, just because of the materials that the board had coming into this meeting, would you mind just confirming for the record if this is the case, that in your opinion, this project does not need a variance for depth, and because we had this in the planning report?
Yes, so that's correct. So this project does not require a variance. The
Thank you.
plans. Okay, yep, perfect.
Right.
And so with that, I'm just really quick. The building department has no objection to the request of relief. Should this board grant the request of relief, the building department will work with the petitioner to ensure compliance with the zoning bylaw, this board's decisions, and all applicable codes.
Terrific. Last round of questions for anything Paul has told us. Wadner?
I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Steve?
No, thank you for that clarification, Paul.
All right. Yes, I agree. Appreciate it. All right. The board is now going to deliberate on the request. Let's see. Would either of you like to start? Raise your hand if you do. Otherwise, I'll just call on one of you, Wadner or Steve. Or would you like me to start?
I'm
I
happy
will
to start. Whatever works for everybody. I have nothing but positive comments on this. This is a very thoughtful plan. The drawings are great. It's a win for the neighborhood. I can't see any downside to this, so I'm all for it.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Wadner?
I agree with my colleague Steve. This is a great project for the street as well, for the neighborhood. Based on the presentation, excellent presentation. The applicant seems to meet the condition for approval for special permit under 905. So it's a great project, and I'm all in support of it.
All right. Thank you, Wadner. Just to add a couple of notes about the details of the request for relief. As the applicant's counsel mentioned, we're in design review because this project involves the full demolition of a structure where preservation imposed a stay of demolition. I was very satisfied with both the written and the graphical and versions of the demonstration of the designs meeting the requirements of design review. I agree that the special permit conditions under 905 are met, and that allows us to grant that the part of the special permit for the design review, specifically for the parking. I agree that it is it's appropriate to seek a request for relief for that for the likely second car in the however many cars the family has now. It's completely likely that another one will be in the driveway at some point in the future, as they are in my neighborhood and neighborhoods all over town. But I think we can grant a special permit for that under 543, taking into account the counterbalancing amenity, which we've been told is the landscaping component of the design. So with that, it is a unanimous. Oh, and you know what? Sorry, I'm just going to go back. We've got conditions. I didn't hear objections from the members about the removal of the second the part of the second line and the third line of condition number 5. And we did amend the date of the drawings referred to in the top of the conditions. Right, Steve Wander?
I have no objection
Okay.
to.
All right. So with that, it is a unanimous decision of the board to grant the requested relief, subject to the conditions as modified and read into the record.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much
all. All
for
right.
your time. Have a good evening.
All right, nice project. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
All right, we move to our second case, number 2025-000018. This concerns property at 191 Clyde Street, where the project is to demolish a portion of a clubhouse and to construct a new addition. And we have Mr. Allen here, long time no see. I presume you were here on behalf of the applicant?
I am, Mr. Chair.
And will you waive a reading of the public notice?
I will, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Will you please introduce others on the applicant team and tell the board about your request for relief?
Sure, Mr. Chair, members of the board, for the record, my name is Robert Allen. I have a law practice 300 Washington Street in Brookline Village. I'm here representing the Country Club, who has Steve Ballard, who is the Director of Facilities here. We also have Hannah Wang, who is our architect from Schwartz Silver. As if everybody doesn't know, the Country Club is a private facility located in 237 acres of land in South Brookline. There's an 18-hole and a 9-hole golf course. There's tennis courts, swimming pool, curling rink, and other recreational facilities, service buildings, and the main clubhouse. The buildings are all kind of clustered together in the center of the property. The closest property is a little over 450 feet away from the closest abutter. The property bordered by single-family residents on all sides except for the southwest side, which is a Putterham golf course, a town-owned golf course. The club is looking to demolish about 18,000 feet of a portion of the existing clubhouse and replace it with 24,609 square feet addition. As Hannah will review, the portion of the building to be demolished has been modified over the years. What has happened over the years is, as is typically happens, is they kind of replace things, and the more they replaced and the more they changed, it got further and further away from the original vision. So the goal of this project is to restore the clubhouse to its previous grace that it was back in the 1900s. A 1902 portion will be brought back, which the club's really excited about. And in this process, needed upgrades to the kitchen facility that will get made, and code upgrades for life safety. An aging HVAC system will be modified. We're going to do geothermal, and we're going to do geothermal not just in the part that of the addition, but we're going to do it in the entire clubhouse, which, as you know, has a significant expense to it. But we thought it was a great example. We'll be one of the few clubhouses, private clubhouses in the country that will be fully geothermal. So I think the Country Club's taken a big step as a leader in that area. And then some of the sort of, as times have changed, there's a formal dining room and there's a formal reading room, which doesn't get a lot of activity. And that some of those areas are going to be slightly reduced in favor of more outdoor seating and kind of creating the circular decks and other things that used to exist on the property. As you can imagine, this project, anytime there's a private club, all the process that goes on internally, this has been going on for a very long time, has to go through the internal process. But Schwartz Silver has done a really great job really thinking about how to bring this back to the historic significance of it. The zoning relief is minimal. It only triggers design review because this is a residential district, and obviously this isn't a residential use. So we will need only design review. We did provide a comprehensive impact statement to this board, and happy to go over it if you want. Just so everybody's aware, the proposal does trigger demolition under our demo delay bylaw. That has since expired on April of this year, but we did a courtesy presentation to the Preservation Commission, and they were supportive of the look of this new proposal. The planning board was unanimously supportive of these changes and appreciated the restoration and bringing some back of some of the historic elements. And they thought it was well-conceived piece of work, quote unquote. The planning board's main question actually only resolved around sort of how the trucks get in and out of the loading zone, which is going to be better later than it is right now. So, but nothing related to the zoning aspect of it as far as design review. So if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, I've talked to Hannah. She's just going to show you the exterior of it because really that's all you're interested in. It's a design review. She'll show you the areas that are changing. It's a fairly quick proposal that she'll walk through if that's okay with you.
That sounds great.
Hannah, all you. Just introduce yourself, Hannah, for the board.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Wang. I'm the project architect from Short Silver working on the clubhouse. Let me share my screen. I'll show you some of the drawings. Just resituating everyone from Bob's introduction. We're just a small part of the campus of buildings at the country club. Zooming in on the clubhouse. This is the existing vicinity plan. We're sitting on the oval and we're the first building to kind of greet you upon entry. I'll skip forward to the first floor plan. I won't get into depth unless anyone has any questions, but I'll just use this to give you a quick overview of what we're changing. And so what you can see in the kind of gray hatch are the existing to remain portions of the building that's around here. And then the black hatch walls are the new addition areas. And so the clubhouse has been extensively modified over the past few years, and actually more than past few years, many years, with renovations that compromised its structural integrity and removed many character defining features. And so our project involves replacing that extensively altered portion of the clubhouse with a new, larger addition that enhances the functionality of club operations while preserving the historic character. And so we're updating the ballroom and updating many kitchens to better serve the dining spaces. And so by reconstructing this 1902 wing here on the east, further east, and relocating a lot of our service areas below grade, our design improves operational efficiency and code compliance while maintaining some key historic views. And I'll pull up some of our exterior elevations. This is our north exterior elevation, which is the view you get pulling into the oval, and it shows this east volume, kitchen volume, basically rebuilt. And we've also added a smaller volume here for additional kitchen space to better serve the club's dining needs. This is the
Hannah,
east.
can I just stop here for a sec? I got to say,
Yes.
the building elevations, maybe we should go through quickly because they're just showing us a lot of black and a lot of red. It's actually
Sorry,
kind of hard
I
to see
can
it as
zoom in a
architecture.
little bit. I apologize. Is it a little better if I zoom in?
That's a little better. Yeah.
Okay. And I have some views. We have some renderings to show you. So maybe I'll just go through these quickly and then we'll
Those
go
are
to
probably
the
more
views.
effective.
I think you could
Yeah.
go to the renderings.
All right, let's go to the views. Okay, so we have a couple of views. They show the north, the east, the south elevations, basically, and we're also pulling some historic views and current views to just kind of compare so you can see what's changed and what's stayed the same. And so starting from the entry drive, this is the key view when you approach the clubhouse, and we're highlighting this historic portico wing, which is originally surrounded by an open porch. And so today, this porch is enclosed at the first floor. But in our proposal here, we've restored the open porch wrapping around the building, and we've also rebuilt this portico. And this portico is existing about 30 feet east of its current elevation to kind of hide the massing of the added kitchen and support spaces. And you can see here that we also sunk the loading dock below grade, and that's visible here in the foreground. The next view is from the 18th green, and so this is from the south, and you can again see the currently enclosed porches, which we've restored again to be open porches. Then this view is from the oval. This is the north elevation, and you'll see this is the rebuilt kitchen wing. So this guy here on the east side in the current view, and then again here in our new proposal. And you'll also see the new one-story addition here, where we've added some additional kitchen space to fully serve the club's dining needs. And then finally, This is a view of the loading dock and the kitchen wing, the east wing. And you'll see that the loading dock and all this mechanical equipment is really prominently featured and located above grade along the entry drive, right as you're driving in. And so in our proposal, we've lowered the loading dock below grade out of view, concealing the trucks, the trash, and all that equipment from view. And just summarizing kind of all these changes with an aerial from the north, it just kind of captures our full scope, showing this historic renovation, which upgrades the functionality of the building to support a more efficient and accessible and cohesive clubhouse. I'll go back to one of our earlier renders if anyone has any questions.
That's great. Let's just pause it there, and I will ask members. Steve, any questions about the design presentation?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Rodner?
I do not have any question. Just by the way, it's not too far from where I live. I just want to make that comment. So I don't have any question.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Bobby, do you have any conclusions? Do you want to come back to the design review compliance or anything like that?
Sure. I mean, I don't know if there's any questions on what I submitted. I submitted extensively about preservation of the trees. The existing tree within the project area will be preserved. You know, they plant hundreds of trees every year on this property. You know, this is basically one of the most beautiful historic buildings in the town that nobody sees, right? Because you can't really see it from any public way, and you'd have to be a member or drive in there to see it. So I think the key to it is we're restoring a building that was really done over time and kind of in pieces and piecemeal. And this is the first time they've ever stepped back and done a comprehensive rebuilding of the entire thing. And when they decide to do that, they decide to spare no expense and bring it back to the old heritage in the beautiful building that it once was. So we think under 905, the site is appropriate location for the use. It's on pretty much the same footprint. It's more square footage, but we sunk some of the sort of the ugliness of the kitchen down below. So now when you drive in, you actually see the first floor. The use as a clubhouse will remain unchanged. The use will not adversely affect the neighborhood. This club is situated more than 800 feet from the public way. And as I said, the closest abutter is 450 feet away. No nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrian. The project will not cause any adverse traffic impact outside the lot. We actually think this circulation is a little bit safer. Right now, the trucks have to kind of come around and loop in and back in, and it can be very difficult. Every truck kind of has to back into the loading area. It's tight. The fences are real tight there. This opens it up a little bit and creates an area down below there where trucks can turn around and actually make some deliveries. Adequate appropriate facilities will be provided. As I said, we're doing geothermal for the entire clubhouse, and there'll be no effect on the supply of housing available for low and moderate income. For those reasons, again, this is very minimal from a zoning relief. It's design review, and I think planning board felt that it was a beautiful design, and I hope you agree.
All right, thank you. Unless members of the board have questions about anything we just heard from Mr. Allen, Steve Wadner?
No questions.
If none, then we'll go to public comment if we have any. Nicole, do you see any members of the public who'd like to speak?
No, I think everyone else is here for a presentation.
Okay. Then let's have the report of the planning department and planning board.
Okay, great. Again, I'm Nicole Perret, zoning coordinator for the town of Brookline. The planning department is supportive of this proposal. The demolition of part of the building and the proposed additions are thoughtfully planned and designed. The new addition matches the architecture and materials of the remaining building, and the delivery area has been improved. The planning board is also supportive of the proposal, which is modernizing the facilities while restoring key historic features. The board found the project thoughtfully designed with significant improvements to internal circulation, kitchen operations, building systems, and service access. Board members emphasized the benefit of the sunken loading dock and concealed mechanical systems, but suggested minor adjustments to improve access drive, circulature for better maneuverability of trucks. Therefore, the planning board recommends approval of the architecture site plan and architectural plans prepared by Angela Ward Hyatt, RA, dated May 7th, 2025, subject to the following conditions. 1, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit final floor plans and elevations stamped and signed by a registered architect or engineer, and a final site plan stamped and signed by a registered engineer or land surveyor to the Director for Regulatory Planning for review and approval. And 2, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit the site plan, floor plans, and elevations displaying the approval stamp of the Director for Regulatory Planning and evidence the Board of Appeals decision was obtained from the town clerk's office by the applicant and representative and recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
All right. And the building department?
The building department has no objection to the request of relief. Should this board grant the request of relief, the building department will work with the petitioner to ensure compliance with the zoning bylaw, this board's decision, and all applicable codes.
Thank you, Paul. Members, any questions about planning department, planning board, or building department? Steve?
No questions.
Wadner?
No question.
All right. All right. Thank you, everybody. The board is now going to deliberate. Let me just start. As we heard from Mr. Allen, this project was cited under 5092I, being a non-residential use in a residential district, and under 802, as it's a non-conforming structure and it's being altered, you need a special permit for that. In my opinion, the community and environmental impact requirements have been met both in written form and in the design presentation that we have seen. It's good to see the planning department's support, although I know they always like to look at the movement of trucks and so on. With the special permit conditions in 905, as I was starting to say, as it being met, in my opinion, I would vote in favor of the special permit for these 2 items of relief. Wadner?
I also support that as well.
All right, thank you. Steve?
I agree.
All right. Pretty straightforward. There you have it. A unanimous decision of the board to grant the requested relief, subject to the conditions that have been read into the record.
Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you.
Nice job, Hannah.
I'm just going to say before Hannah turns off her camera, it's been 15 years, but I think I sat at that same desk that you are sitting at right now.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it's nice to, or the one in front or behind you. But
Check for bubble gum underneath it. That's who you used to.
no, that was never me. Right. All right, thanks, folks. Nice project. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Third case, number 2025-000020. This concerns property at 47 Shaw Road, where the project is to renovate and expand a basement living area beneath an existing deck. And Bobby, I see you moved to another square, but you're still with us. Are you representing the applicant?
Yeah, you're stuck with me for the rest of the night, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
I will waive the reading.
And you'll waive the reading. Thank you for that. Please introduce the rest of the applicant team and tell the board about your request for relief.
Great. Again, for the record, Robert Allen, 300 Washington Street in Brookline Village. Here representing, I don't see Leon. Maybe he's here somewhere. Leon Gesbank, who is the homeowner of 47 Shaw Road. We have Rich Levy here, who is the architect. 47 Shaw Road is located right in South Brookline, close to Baker School. It's kind of up on the hill from Baker School. It's on an undersized lot at only 8,159 square feet, and the zoning bylaw requires 10,000 square feet, as is very common in that South Brookline Baker School area. Pretty much anything you do requires zoning relief. They're all pre-existing, pretty much all pre-existing non-conforming. The proposal is to convert an existing basement space and to construct a rear addition to the basement level under an existing deck. Very creative, as Rich will go over. Relief is sought under section 6 to increase the pre-existing non-conforming FAR. No new non-conformities will be created, and we do not believe there will be any detriment to the neighborhood as a result of the increase. The planning board appreciated how discreet the additional area was being added to the home. One board member stated the proposal was a well-done modification to create more living space. I do have the architect here. If you want to see it, he can walk you through it. If you guys take a look at it and you're fine with it, we could do that way also. Your call.
Thanks, Bobby. Let me just ask Wadner, Steve, do you, we got some design materials in the packet. Do you need to see it on the screen? We're happy to do that if you'd like to.
I read it earlier and I have it here, so I don't need to see it again.
Okay, Wadner?
No, that's fine.
Okay, Bobby, thanks for asking. Why don't you, do you have a more
I do.
zoning argument?
Yeah.
Okay.
As you know, a finding under 40A Section 6 is requested to allow for the increase of a pre-existing non-conforming FAR. The maximum FAR in this district is 0.30. We are currently at 0.44. The proposal is to add 0.06 to bring us up to 0.50. Under Diedrich, as this board is aware, this board may allow for the extension of a pre-existing nonconformity as long as A, no new conformities are created, and B, that there's no substantial detriment to the neighborhood. As I said, no nonconformity will be created and there's no substantial detriment. The one thing that the board has used to assist them in a finding under Section 6 was to look at the standards under 905 to see if they're met. And we believe the specific site is appropriate location. The property is located in a residential neighborhood, and the addition will maintain this use. The adverse will not affect the neighborhood. As the planning board said, this is a very creative way to add some space by just kind of filling in under a deck. The streetscape doesn't change at all. This is a historic Tudor from 1930, so it's nice to preserve the existing streetscape. No nuisance of serious hazard of vehicles or pedestrians. There's no change to how we're using our vehicles at the site. Adequate appropriate facilities will be provided, and the development will not have an effect on the supply of housing available for low and moderate income people. As I say, pretty much anytime, buying that next house in Brookline is a huge step. So anytime you can find a way to create more space in your house, especially without sort of impacting the neighborhood, it's always great to be able to do that. And Rich did a great job finding a way for this family to stay in their house and find additional space. So I would ask for a finding under Section 6 that for this proposal.
No, all right. Wadner, Steve, any, before we go to planning board, any, or the public comment rather, any questions about Bobby's presentation?
I'm just interested, what is the room going to be used for? Is it just a bedroom or?
Rich?
I think it looks great from
Sure.
just an outside perspective. What's the use?
There's an existing, there's an existing office in the basement.
Office?
They're going to convert that existing office into sort of a playroom. So the new space will become kind of like an office / man cave for the father, with better access to basically to the rear yard as well. There's really no good current access other than through a utility room to get to the rear yard from the basement.
He's looking to find a place to get away from his family, Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Mr.
a
Levy,
shortage
just,
of housing in Brookline and a real shortage of man caves.
Yes, exactly.
That we can address.
yeah, Mr. Levy, please just give us your name and your project role on the record, if you wouldn't mind, while you're speaking.
Of course, Richard Levy, RBL Architects, 30 Jacob.
Thank you. All right, Steve, all set?
Yes, thank you.
Widener, anything?
Nothing.
Okay. Nicole, have we got members of the public who'd like to speak here?
No, we do not.
Well, everybody's at the planning board tonight, I guess. All right, then we will hear from the planning department and the planning board.
Great. So planning staff is supportive of the proposal to convert the interior and for the basement addition, and finds the request to be modest. There was a recommendation by staff to screen the generator and condenser or heat pump with landscaping. The planning board was also supportive of the proposal. Board members voted unanimously and agreed the proposal is modest, well integrated, and enhances livability while remaining in character with the neighborhood. The addition will have minimal visual impact since it's under the existing deck and within the basement footprint. Therefore, the planning board recommends approval of the site plan by George Collins dated December 9th, 2024, and the architectural plans by Richard B. Levy Architects dated March 27th, 2024, subject to the following conditions. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit final floor plans and elevations stamped and signed by a registered architect, and a final site plan stamped and signed by a registered engineer or land surveyor to the director for regulatory planning or designee for review and approval. And 2, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit to the building commissioner for review and approval the site plan, floor plan, and elevations displaying the approval stamp of the director for regulatory planning and evidence the Board of Appeals decision has been obtained from the town clerk's office by the applicant or representative and recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Thanks, Nicole. Paul, the building department's report?
The building department has no objection to the request of relief. Should this board grant the request of relief, the building department will work with the petitioner to ensure compliance with this board's decision, zoning bylaw, and applicable codes.
Thanks, Paul. Members, any questions for what we've just heard from Nicole and Paul? Steve?
No questions.
Bodnar?
No questions.
Okay. And I have no questions, so I think we will move now to deliberate. We've heard from Mr. Allen that this project needs relief only for FAR. It is an undersized lot, as he pointed out. 8159 square feet, where 10,000 is the minimum, and the FAR. Existing FAR 0.4 is going to 0.50, where 0.30 is the maximum in the bylaw. And to grant a special permit, this board could make a finding under section 6 that the altered structure is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure. I'd like to consider the implicit question in this section 6, and the implicit question is that, you know, if a non-conforming structure is non-conforming, it may present some detriment to the neighborhood, and I think in this case, it's hard to see that as anything more than theoretical because it's such a consistent pattern. I mean, Mr. Allen is right that we have cases in this part of Brookline frequently. You know, only for FAR because of the number of undersized lots. You know, my opinion is that, especially because the proposed construction is enveloped by the mass of the existing building, difficult to see. And the applicant didn't point it out, but this is one of the steep slopes on that hill in that neighborhood of Brookline. It is less visible than most in this part of the South Brookline. So I'm ready to find that the altered structure is not substantially more detrimental. And if we consider the 905 conditions for approval of special permit, I would find also that those are met, and which should support a grant of special permit if we agree on that. So those are my thoughts. Wadner?
I agree with you, Randolph, and basically I'm in support of it, subject to the condition that read on the record.
Thank you. Steve?
I just missed part of what you said, Wadner, subject to what?
To the condition that read on the record from the planning board.
Yeah.
And I'm in agreement. It satisfies 905 to me. It's I don't think it's even visible from anywhere other than from directly behind the house itself. So I would vote to approve it.
All right. Well, there you have it. It's a unanimous decision of the board to grant the relief as requested, subject to the conditions that have been read into the record.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you. And last but not least, we move to our final case tonight. This is at 9 Greenway Court, where the project is to construct a rooftop addition to add 2 new dwelling units for a total of 10 units. And as promised, Mr. Allen is still here, still on behalf of this applicant, and I'll just finish it all at once. And will you introduce yourself and the team and waive the reading of the public notice?
I will, Mr. Chair. We will waive
All right, very
the
good.
reading. And for the record, Robert Allen, 300 Washington Street in Brookline Village, here representing Carl Kramer, who is actually out of town tonight. But we have Derek Bloom from Bloom Architecture here, who was the architect on the project. This should be familiar to at least Wagner and probably Randolph, because this is kind of finishing up the trifecta in Greenway Court. 9 Greenway Court is just off Harvard Street near Coolidge Corner. It's an M2 zoning district. To the rear is the public parking lot at Babcock and John Street. Part of the courtyard belongs to sort of 5 different buildings, all under different ownership. It was constructed in 1924. Building has obviously historic significance. The proposed FAR is 1.35 for our proposal, well under the 2.0. So we don't have the issue that we had in 1012 Greenway Court, which needed a variance for FAR. This is we're well under here. It's actually got a lot of land. As weird as the lot is made up, the lot has a point. It's got a curve, it's got a circle, and what you would think is the front yard where everybody enters is actually the backyard under zoning, and the front yard is sort of the parking lot on John Street. So
yeah, I'm hoping you're going to walk us through a drawing for that. That's been a little challenging in the packet.
Yeah. We'll when Derek pulls up the site plan, I'll kind of walk through where each one is. As I said, we're pleased to submit this proposal for the construction of a 4th floor addition to Greenway Court, which will create 2 new residential units. This will increase the total number of units in the building from 8 to 10. As some board members will recall, this project follows a successful precedent in this courtyard. Similar additions have already been completed at hasn't been completed yet, but have been approved at 4 Greenway and 1012 Greenway. The proposed addition at 9 Greenway will complete the trio, creating harmonious and consistent streetscape. I know that was something I think Wagner in particular had some concerns about, and one of the things that we actually did is we kept the same architect, right, to ensure the streetscape has similar looks. So we're excited about this proposal for several reasons. One, I think it's smart growth. The new units add much needed housing in a multifamily district right in Coolidge Corner without any negative impact to any abutter, right? It kind of stands there as an island, and it only impacts itself. The contextual design, adding a 4th floor at 9 Greenway, fills sort of the missing piece between the other proposals, as I just mentioned. And it meets a number of town goals. Transit-oriented development, it's right on the T. Affordable housing, this generates a substantial payment to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Sustainability, the addition will be fossil fuel free, supporting the town's climate and sustainability goals. And we're doing this without any change of the footprint of the building, and the addition is brought in at least 1 feet from the edge, which is something that was very important, not only to the planning board, but important to us too, because it kept it out of the demolition bylaw, right? So as long as we came in, and so again, it'll be consistent with all the buildings. They're all set back a foot and in a foot. The planning board reviewed this proposal at their meeting on 5/16. It was, of course, a bit of a deja vu for them, but they were very supportive of it. They thought it was a great proposal and thought kind of filling that missing piece was an important part of this, to not have sort of just 2 here and this one in the corner not having it. So with that, I'll turn it over to Derek. Derek, if you can introduce yourself and pull up the drawings and
Great, absolutely.
Just real quick, while he's doing that, the special permit relief is for the affordable housing payment, as I mentioned, design review under 5092D. Anytime there's 4 or more units, we require design review in the town. The front yard requirements, the existing is 19.3, the proposed is 21, again, because we're setting it back a little bit, but it's pre-existing non-conforming essentially. Side yard requirement is non-conforming 1-0 because it's attached on one side, and the other is 19.3, and that's remaining. And side yard requirement, same type, rear yard requirement, 30 feet is required, existing is 27.3, and the proposal is actually 30 feet. We push it in, so we actually meet the rear yard setback, which is actually in the front yard, and I'll go over that. And then bicycle spaces. The existing building is pre-existing non-conforming. 9 bicycle spaces would be required. Because we're adding 2, we need 11 bicycle spaces. We're able to find space to add 2 bikes. Therefore, we can reduce under 802 as there's no increase in the non-conformity. So we will have, I think, 9 bike spaces now. And that's it. So just by way of background, that will be the relief we're asking for. And Derek, if you walk through, and when you get to the site plan, you want to stop for a minute, and I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Bobby, let me just pause you. We've got a I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. We've got a planning board report that's got a chart with requests for variances.
Yeah, you know, it's we've got different people swimming in different lanes here, Randolph. We were excited for it, and I will tell you this, from my perspective, dating back to when Enid Starr stood in the square you're at, this DBA has been consistent that if you can provide the open space required for the addition, then it would be compliant with it. Because if you think about it logically, how can if there's no open space there now, how can I possibly create open space? And you'd never be able to build anything. So the consistency.
Okay,
yeah,
let me just pause you for a second, because I just don't want us to be too distracted by this. If there's an open question about variance required, variance not required, while we're looking at it's hard to look at the design if or at least it is for me. Is it your position then that there's no variance needed for this design?
No, because we're adding a roof deck to get us 426 square feet, and under our proposal, we'd need 258 usable square feet. So we comply with that, and the landscape provides 317 square feet, and the only amount we required for the new addition is 258 square feet. So
okay, I'm just gonna say at the outset, from the point of view of the board, that there's a lot of arithmetic here about square feet of 2 different types of open space, and I'm just gonna want to hear with clarity from the applicant, from the building department, from the planning department, just to see whether we can reconcile possibly different views of the same project so the board can act. But we'll do that in due course. Why don't you take us through the design, and especially with respect to the site areas,
yes,
and the setbacks. That's going to be helpful.
Okay, great. So I'm Derek Bloom from Bloom Architecture. As Bob mentioned, we've been here before with the 1012 Greenway project just a few months ago. But as a refresher, this is the property here. Greenway Court itself is this street. So there's 3 streets on 3 sides in a sense. 10 and 12, which was previously approved, is here. These 2 are 1 ownership. This is 4, which was in a previous year approved under a different ownership, and tonight this is number 9. So that's the trifecta is kind of coming around the courtyard like that. This is now a building that you've probably seen. That's a taller building than this one that's now built, but we have a parking condition on this side. This is actually the parking associated with number 9, and then there's the public parking, and then there's the across the street parking. So there's quite a bit of parking going on over on that side of the site. View of the courtyard, number 9 being this top right facade here, although they're all repeats of each other. Looking down if you can imagine the drive off to the right of the building here is this view. Also this this view down this corridor. So this is the parking associated with 9 Greenway, and in the distance, that's 9 Greenway itself. And one more view from the sky of the same thing. So the lot that we'll see on the next page is both this parking and and number 9, the building. And probably could have added some color to clarify, but I can do that live, I think, fairly easily, just to be super clear on what the property is. So the property is this building, and then it comes across to become this parking, which can't do a perfect curve, but you get the idea. And then up to here, and then that. So
Derek, you didn't include that little chunk that goes out to the middle.
Oh, did I? Out to the
court.
street here?
No, in the.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Oh, here, it keeps going. It gets some land in the courtyard.
So Derek, if you don't mind, if you just go back and just with your mouse, do the same, go over the same line that you just did, just with your mouse.
Yeah.
So that's a side yard setback all the way up to the middle of the courtyard. That's a side yard setback.
Here.
That's the entire side. That's one side yard setback.
And can one of you just, well, this is a helpful drawing, but can you just point to where the new construction is that is proposed to be 1 foot setback from that line?
Right there.
Okay, so that's that rectangle that's the outline of the unit of the construction on the top of the building.
Right.
Yes.
Because right now it's 0 setback, right? Because they're attached buildings, and we're just going to have 1 foot there on the side yard. So,
okay, so it's sitting within the parapet of the building or something like that, and it's sort of near. And show us again the side yard setback line. Just trace it.
So it's kind of this odd shape that hits the building and then jogs at the party wall and then continues on the diagonal, goes to the center line, and then
that's rear yard, and then goes.
So side kind of starts here, ends here through the building. Rear here.
Rear yard's there.
And then
back to side yard there.
Side again. And I don't know, Bob, sorry.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is. That's probably a rear. It's probably a rear, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because there's no building there. And then this is front, that entire question mark, I guess I'll call it, that loop or exclamation point, I guess, is all front yard, Randolph.
Okay. And again, if Mr. Bloom, if you could zoom in just a little bit here, we've got the chart for, requested relief in the planning report saying rear yard setback required 30, existing 27.3, proposed 1. Is that correct?
No, because you see, Derek, you see 27.4, that's existing.
Yeah.
That's existing
because
rear yard setback.
Because there's sort of a bump in the building.
Yeah.
We're getting more than the foot of mileage by going with the setback.
And you're going 30 feet for that.
If you can imagine it it's only a foot from this setback, but it's more than a foot from this parapet, it's more than a foot from the current pinch point, which is how we're getting 30.
Okay, so do you need relief only for side yard setbacks?
Yes, the rear complies now, or the addition complies with rear.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful to see. That's you can see why I had questions about.
It's not a clear.
Some of the dimensional business.
It's an odd site. Yeah.
Let me just pause here because Steve and Wadner, I want to make sure while we've got this drawing and we're having a discussion, you want to jump in with any questions, Steve?
I appreciate this. This is very, very helpful compared to what the download forms show. So thank you. This clarifies a lot for me.
Okay, Wadner?
Well, the questions that I have, if the setback in this building gonna be 1 foot, is it gonna be aligned with the other building?
Yes. The 1 foot setback was kind of initiated by the first approved segment, and it's continued around through all of them since.
We have to keep it 1 foot or else we trigger the demo bylaw, Wadner.
So is it, it's the same from the previous one, the board approved? Like if you walk in, they all gonna be lined up, the setback?
Yes.
Absolutely, every one of them.
Yeah, Wadner, let's not rely too much on another decision. I not right now, but I do want to get to some of those elevations and, if the applicant can just show us how that proposed top story sits relative to the
Yes.
existing stories, I think that will make it clear. So we
Randolph,
could either do that next, or we could look at the open space.
I just want to just since we have this here, Derek, if you could help me out, the only area that could possibly count here. So the Greenway, there's travel along this area, right? That's all pavement. Everything to the what we'll call the front yard setback is all pavement, right? So
Yeah.
the only area that could possibly count is this sort of grassed area there, which is only 12 feet. It's 600 square feet total of grass, but it wouldn't count as usable open space. And Steve, just so you know, usable open space in the town requires at least dimensions of 15 by 15. So if we're 15 by 30, we get to count 15 by 30, but it has to be at least 15 by 15. Here, we get a total of, it's 55 feet long, but it's only 12 feet wide, the grass area. You know, unless we included the walkway, but that's not typically what you'd count as usable open space. So there's currently zero usable open space on this property. And I'm just giving you that sort of as context of where we are, where we start.
Sorry, say that again, Bobby. Why doesn't the space in the U-shaped courtyard count as
Because
usable open space?
the grassed area is only 12 feet wide.
Yeah, this is kind of lawn.
Oh,
lawn.
before you hit the walk. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no
before you hit the
single
walk.
uninterrupted bit that is more than 15 feet. It's all under.
I mean, if we include the walkway, it's not something that we would, I mean, if it was in a person's backyard, I guess if it was a patio, we would certainly count it, but you know, this is a sort of a common walkway, and it would be unusual to count that into our open space calcs.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you see green there doesn't hit our 15 feet is the issue. So we've got plenty of landscaped open space, because all that would count towards landscaped open space, but it wouldn't count towards usable open space. And I did see the planning board report, and I have no idea where the numbers came from. So maybe they counted that whole area there, that whole section as our usable open space, but and I certainly don't want to put Nicole on the spot, because I'm not sure she was here when all this work was done, but it's not typically how we do it. I look at it as a zero open space on here. So our goal was, when we get to the addition, can we find enough usable open space to cover the new created space? And we'll get into that as we go through the design.
Sure. Why don't you carry on then? Are you going to show us some?
So this is the
roof deck space and things like that.
I'm just going to bring the color across to this one just for clarity. So I'll take the pink off though. This is the proposed, and really all it is a dashed line showing the new walls. So the dashed line up on the top is our setback, is our footprint, and later we have floor plans that show you the inner workings, which we'll go to next.
And that's our roof deck there. Could you just go back and just show that roof, unless you have a different drawing?
Yeah, the roof deck is kind of dashed in as this, with there's a maintenance hatch for the general roof here over the stair, and then there's a private hatch for this roof deck here.
And that totals 426 square feet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes us to plans. So just a quick summary of the existing building. It's basement 1, 2, and 3, each of which has 2 units with central
Wouldn't get caught up in
stairs.
the interior too much, Derek.
Yeah, just a quickie. So there's two per floor, totaling 8. And there's the central stair that divides the 2 sides. So that's kind of how it works. There's the existing roof, and then the new units are similar, but with the setback and the added couple of added constraints. So these are 1 unit here to the plan south of the staircases that has a 3-bed configuration with the private roof deck stair up to the private roof deck. And then plan north of the stairs, we have a 2-bed unit with the open living space there in the center.
So is the roof deck on top of the new
On top
story
of the
of
top.
dwellings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, so that one will take you
Didn't
over
un-
here.
Oh, yeah, that was,
And this
I
is,
see what you mean.
that's the
Is
roof
that
deck.
how it was done? Sorry to pause you. Is that how it was done on either 4 or 1012, that the roof deck was set on the top?
They
So
didn't do a roof deck.
for 4, it was, and for 1012, we did not have that
Yeah,
feature.
this would be the same as 4, but 1012 didn't want a roof deck. The owner didn't like the idea of
Okay.
a roof deck.
Okay.
So that's the general plan, and this is kind of like the original breakdown of what our ground level landscaping looks like. And as we mentioned, like not only is there this path, but the light wells into the basement units and stuff. So there's really just little slivers over here, and then there's a substantial chunk of courtyard on the left. The elevations, oh no, we're back to the plans. I don't know why they're, I guess this, if you printed them, this would be more legible than the previous one, but since we're looking on screen, it's the same. I'm going to skip ahead. So the elevations, pardon the confusion, but blue is us. But because it's a repetitive building and every side and every unit kind of looks the same, you're seeing a lot of the same features repeat, even when you're looking at different sides. And since we had drawn 1012, we kind of included it just as a reminder of what was approved over there. So you'll see.
Is that what the orange is?
So yeah, exactly, orange is that, and blue is the current number 9 proposal, and then the units that aren't shown are in gray. So if you're looking on the axis of the courtyard, you've got number 12 dead ahead, you've got number 10 on the left, and you'll have number 9 on the right. So these are mirror image to each other, and they obviously currently match, and they will still have consistent window size and siding and parapet heights and setbacks and things like that.
Yeah,
So
that was
they'll
the
be-
other benefit of setting it back a little bit because of that little parapet there, and
Yeah,
of-
it really keeps the cornice line
yeah,
intact.
it still makes it pop a little bit.
So that's kind of existing, and here's proposed with the penthouse. It's sunken slightly behind because the parapet is above the roof plane, so we're not even seeing, the whole floor. You can see the person inside is sort of, halfway behind the parapet. So these will appear to be shorter than normal levels based on that overlap. And then as we go around the sides, the confusion continues. So this is the side that we showed where number 9's parking is. So this is the rear stair access to the basement, and the balconies off that side. And this is the end of number 12. This takes us around to the public, to the town parking lot looking back. So this is the broad side of 10 and 12, and this is the end of 9 here. So because it's a U shape and it repeats, you feel like you're seeing the same thing over and over again. But the blue is just the end condition. And then I guess that's it. That's we've got one more side, which is entirely just the mirror image side of 1012. So that's not even in our proposal. But just to counterpoint that against this, it's a mirror image of that one also. So let me know if any of that was too confusing. I can go back to any part of that.
I think we're probably going to have questions. Let me just start with one, which is about the whole ensemble of buildings. You haven't said much about number 3, and maybe that's because there's separate ownership, or not, certainly not in this project that we're seeing tonight. But if you go back a page in the elevations, I think we were starting to see down in the lower right, where you see the blue addition proposed on what number are we? 9.
Yeah.
And then to the right, I believe, is the number 3 part of
Exactly.
the complex.
Yep.
And if this is approved, if number 9 is approved and gets constructed, might there still be nothing sitting on the top of number 3?
Well, I can answer that because I represented those folks, but those are condos. So I can't imagine a condo association ever building. They have roof deck up there existing now. And maybe we saw that from one of your earlier pictures, Derek, but there's kind of a roof deck up there now, and I think it's personal to the top unit there. No, it doesn't show it, but there was a roof deck or proposed I remember the architect proposing it, so I don't know if it ever got built, but those are condos, so I don't see that one ever getting built. Nor based on the current owner, there's another unit there. Oh no, that's number 4. Okay, no, number 3 I don't see happening.
Yeah, but you know, Bobby, you understand why I'm asking, because you know here we are in design review, and we've heard a lot about this proposal and its consistency to the point of engaging the same architect and so on, you know, continuing the pattern around the complex. But it's, you know, your forecast is that we're not actually going to finish the pattern because it's not in your control to do it. We've got separate owners there who may not pursue a project and build the mirror image of what was approved for number 4, correct?
Correct.
Right. Okay. So I mean, I've just that helped. Let me just say that helps me to understand that although we're working our way through this complex in certain discrete cases, what's proposed here, I want to make sure the board understands it's not going to. I mean, our decision tonight has to consider the possibility that this may be the last such piece that would get built in this complex, and that's what it would look like.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the other thing you should take into account is number 4 might be expired. It's been a very long time. I don't know that person is ever gonna build. So it's really 10, 12, and 9. That's the kind of trio that I'm really talking about here. Right.
Well, I drive by the street. I always look down this Green Street to see what's going on. There can be. There's often something, but let me pause that, and I want to turn to other members. Stephen Wadner. Steve, any questions about, or do you want to go back to other parts of the drawings here to ask another question?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, Wadner.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Bobby, let me ask you to do you want to summarize here? And I'm just going to touch back on this kind of open issue that we're going to have to get to, which is what is the extent and nature of the relief requested? Can you maybe just confirm that what I think you said at the beginning, which is that you're seeking special permits only?
I am, and if your discussion leads to the conclusion that I need a variance, I'm happy to make a variance argument up on the fly.
Let's do that if we need to, but yes. But do you want to summarize about the special permits at least?
Yeah, if I could, we believe that the specific site is appropriate location for the use. The existing building is residential. In addition, is consistent with this use. The property is located right in the Coolidge Corner, close to the MBTA. Immediate adjacent, as you know, is also being built, and this will create that consistency along the streetscape, as we mentioned. Use will not adversely affect the neighborhood. We haven't heard anything negative from anybody here, which I think it shows. It kind of stands alone, this building. It doesn't really necessarily have a residential abutter to it that would have concerns. I know you got letters of support from mostly from neighbors in the district that support housing and think this is a perfect place to develop housing, which I agree with. No nuisance or hazardous vehicles or pedestrian. We're not changing anything from the existing parking or site circulation. Adequate appropriate facilities will be provided, and the development will not have an effect on the supply of housing. As I said before, a pretty substantial payment will be required to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So the project will add to the town's goal of increasing financially for affordable housing. So I suggest to you that for the special permits that are needed, as I mentioned before, affordable housing design review, side yard setback, bicycle space, and under 802, that we would meet the standards of a special permit under 905. So I appreciate it. Happy to answer questions and to get into it more.
Great. Thanks, Bob. Let me just check for questions. Steve, any for Bobby?
I have none.
Wadner?
I do not have any questions.
Okay. Great. Let's go to public comment. Nicole, can you tell us if we have members of the public who signed up to speak or would like to speak now?
No, we do not.
All right. Then let's hear from the planning department and the planning board.
Great. The planning board is supportive of the proposal, the proposed addition, which will add 2 residential units consistent with the recent approved plans for the Greenway Court complex. The board found the design cohesive with the prior additions at 4, 10, and 12 Greenway Court, with careful consideration given to the height, setback, material, and integration with the existing architectural character. While variances for usable and landscape open space are required, the board finds these justified due to site constraints and notes that the project aligns with the town's goal for housing near transit. Additionally, the board is pleased with the bicycle storage that was added to the project, reducing the need for variance relief.
Nicole, let me just pause you there because we've got on the record this what you've just read, stating the need for variances. I'm just going to ask either, I know that this is not necessarily a good position, likely position for you, but can either you on behalf of the planning department or Paul on behalf of the building department explain the variance variance requirement if either of you believes one exists?
Yeah, I'm going to let Paul do that. If I could just finish reading the conditions, I'm just reading it as is written in the staff report.
Understood.
Understood.
But we may have to go back. We may, if it's in the conditions, we may need to go clean up. But let's let you get through it first.
Therefore, if the Board of Appeals finds that statutory requirements for a variance for minimal usable open space and landscape open space and bicycle parking are met, the planning board recommends approval of a site plan by George C. Collins, PLS, dated March 17th, 2025, and the architectural plans by Derek Bloom, RA, dated March 24th, 2025, subject to the following conditions. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit final floor plans and elevations stamped and signed by a registered architect, and a final site plan stamped and signed by a registered engineer or land surveyor to the Director for Regulatory Planning for review and approval. 2, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit a landscape plan subject to approval by the Director for Regulatory Planning or designee. The counterbalancing amenities must be executed in accordance with the approved plan. And then 3, Bob, if it's okay, I'm going to waive reading that since we don't have any members.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I spoke with my client about the affordable housing requirements, and we will stipulate to the condition. So Nicole doesn't have to read it.
And then 4, prior to the issuance of the building permit, the applicant shall electronically submit to the building commissioner for review and approval of the site plan, floor plan, and elevations displaying the approval stamp of the Director for Regulatory Planning and evidence the Board of Appeals decision was obtained by the town clerk's office by the applicant or representative and recorded at the Registry of Deeds. And then I will just add, because there was discussion about 4 Greenway Court, there was an extension filed in 2024, but it expired in March of this year, 2025.
Dad, still have a memory left.
Right.
I looked it up.
They actually might be okay with 4 Greenway Court just because of the state's extension. The whole COVID
Oh,
thing.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Nicole. Let me, Mr. Bloom, if you would just take down your screen share. I think we just want to have see a few more faces, and I'm going to carry on, and we'll if we can hold board questions until we hear a little more from the building department, I'd like to do that next. So Paul, can you enlighten us?
All right. I don't know how helpful this is going to be, but I did speak to the building commissioner, Daniel Bennett, about this, and he does concur with Attorney Allen in as far as whenever the FAR increases on a project, typically the open space requirement only is applied to that portion that's being increased, so that delta. But I will say that the previous case and decision for 10 Greenway Court was granted a variance for usable open space. So those two ideas kind of conflict with each other, but I did just give you the building commissioner's interpretation of how the usable open space metrics are applied in a case like this. But again, like I said, with the previous case for 10 Greenway Court, a variance was approved by this board.
Yeah, Paul, I reviewed that decision, and there was a fair amount of time it spent in the hearing, on the argument for the variance, and if the building department's view is that this applicant should seek a variance in order to get for relief from the requirements for those two types of open space, then we should give it that time and get it on the record in this hearing and not rely on. I mean, we can't rely on the other case.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So just kind of
Hang on a second, Bobby.
sorry, just using the in my time here, using the building commissioner's judgment, I would say he would usually defer to the board on that decision, but specifically to this case, with the increase of FAR, they actually do provide the 10% for the landscape and the usable open space. And I did not confirm the metrics that are in the planning board report. I didn't have time to do all of that. But based on my most recent conversation with the building commissioner in regards to the applicability of usable open space to an increase in FAR, this case wouldn't require a variance based on that conversation. But again, I can't unwrite what's written in the planning board report and undo the decision for 10 Greenway Court, if that helps. I know it probably doesn't.
Can I ask a question? Was it a porch proposed on the top for the 10 Greenway? I don't believe there was one. Was there one?
No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
I think that was part of the consideration because they didn't add it on the top of the roof, propose a porch. And also the topographic of the land was the land shape was a little different than what we have now, even though it's the same complex, but the way it was designed, the ownership, the boundary of the property line was make it so unique. That was the reason why the board was part of the considerations.
Yeah, and I don't want to make an argument for the applicant, but they are in sort of a similar situation here, just because the property that 9 Greenway Court sits on, if you're looking at the site plan, there's actually a parking lot to the right. So there's a parking lot to the right, and then you have your abutting property to the left, and then you have your front, so they're almost in a similar situation. It's because they're landlocked by that parking lot to the right of the property. But again, I'm not the applicant. I'm not making.
Yeah.
Let me make that point.
Bobby, you had your hand. Let me give you a chance to speak and ask a couple of questions here, and then I have a question for you.
Yeah, well, listen, I think this is, and I appreciate your comments, Paul. I think this is distinguishable from 1012. As Wardner pointed out, not only did we do did like 4 units at the top floor, but we also converted a basement unit. So it was an increase of total of 5 units, and we added 0 open space. We didn't have the ability to add any. And what I think is important, as Paul pointed out, as the building commissioner pointed out, is while every case here is different and unique, the interpretation of the code is something that's very important, that I rely on, that design professionals rely on. And while I think it's an easy variance argument to make for this, because obviously it's unique and the hardship, and we made it next door, it should be the same. I do not want to make it because I think we can do it via special permit, because this is different. We're able to provide the open space necessary to comply with the additional space we're adding. And who cares about the metrics that the planning staff put together? No disrespect, Nicole, I appreciate the effort, but all my metrics are simple, right? We need, because this new addition requires 426 square feet is what we're providing, and we require 258 square feet of usable open space. That's simple math, right? That's easy. And then for the landscape open space, provide 317, and all we needed was 258. So we meet it, And that's why we weren't cited for it. And this whole variance came up as a result of planning staff, rightfully so, looking at the bylaw and reading it, but it's the interpretation, how this board has interpreted that the planning staff did not take into consideration that I rely on and that design professionals rely on. So this is completely different from 1012. We added 0 open space, so we needed a variance, and I agreed with that, and we met the standard. This is completely different, though. I see it.
All right. So yeah, no, well, no, I mean, I think you've answered my question, but I'm gonna say it anyway, just to make sure we all know where we're going. You know, as you said a minute ago, you understand that you have the opportunity to make an argument, to make an argument for a variance. You've heard Mr. Campbell's comments about the building commissioner's view here. I think you understand the extent to which this board prefers to defer to the building commissioner in his interpretation of the bylaw. And if you are prepared to ask only for special permits and not a variance, confident that you will not need one in the course of the project, then we could proceed that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should be clear. I was not cited for open space violation. So the town, I would argue, should have supplied me with an amended denial letter if I was cited. I was cited for everything that can be done via special permit, and my open space and usable open space was as of right. This is a creature of a planning board report, not of a denial letter, which is all I can base my relief on. So I'm comfortable proceeding under a special permit, and I think we meet the standards under a special permit.
Okay. Just want to pause for a minute. Steve, questions or notes at this point?
No, I'd follow that fine, and I appreciate the insight.
Okay, Wadner?
I am fine. I just want to point it out that each request from each applicant, they were so unique. So although it is looked like it is one plot of, the building is sitting in one plot of land, but the ownership is different. And the request today is different from the request what we was back in for 10 Greenway for the building number 10. So I agree with the applicant that we just need a special permit rather than a variance.
All right, thanks. I'm going to come back with one last question about the design and the relief, and then Nicole, I'm going to come to you about the conditions. Bobby, this is about the bicycle parking spaces. In the end, and sorry, I just lost track because there's a lot of items in the proposal. Is relief needed for bicycle accommodations here?
Yeah, Derek, I think I got these numbers wrong.
So we're adding bicycle spaces for the addition in the same way that we are treating the usable open space for the addition. So we have 2 new spaces, which satisfies the 2 new units. And if I can just find my drawing.
But Bobby, I'm going from the denial letter here where you were cited for bicycle space and design regulations.
Yeah, that's right. But that can be waived by this board. That can be waived by special permit.
By special, okay. So you're saying that's it's relief at that level only that you need for bicycles.
That's right.
Okay, but just recap for us what is required, what is provided.
I think so how many?
So I think it's
per unit.
1.1 per unit.
Yeah, 1.1 per unit, but you can round down under 0.5, and we're 2.2. So we have 2 spaces provided.
What would it be total, Derek, is they're looking for?
2.2 is required, but the bylaw says you round up from 0.5 and higher and down from 0.5 and lower. So 2 is the requirement.
Right, but if we included the other units as well.
Oh, if we included the other units, you'd be at 10.10, 11.
Right.
If you made the whole building comply.
I'm sorry, I just can't understand whether are you providing new bicycle parking spaces in
Two
Oh,
new ones are being
two
two
provided.
new ones?
Yes.
Thank
Two
you.
new units, and we're not able to add any more space. It's too tight in there. Mechanical room isn't like
Okay.
brutal.
All right. Thank you. Nicole, back to you about in the conditions, and help me with a possible edit here. Is it only the first phrase in the first parts of the first two lines in the bold text of the conditions that makes a mention of variances?
Yes, so we would just strike that out and start with the planning board recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful to confirm. That's a proposed amendment to the conditions. Okay. Unless members have other questions, and I know we've been a lot of back and forth here, but I think it's been necessary. Unless you have other questions, we'll go to deliberate. Are you ready for that, Steve
Yes.
and Wadner?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Wadner, would you like to start us here?
Yes, I believe the applicant request of relief under for special permit, it meet the condition of special permit. I do understand that there was a discussion whether we should consider whether there's a variance that was clarified, and I'm satisfied with the answer that I received from the applicant. I am in favor of it. You know, I believe I know each building is unique. I know that there are prior decision, but each one of the building, they're unique, and the requests for the previous one, they were unique, particularly to the lot. So I am in favor of granting relief so that we have a unified Code Greenway.
Thanks, Wadner. Steve.
Thank you. I appreciate that this is going to be more of a harmonious looking building, and adding the two units makes sense to me. I believe that it meets the standard for relief. I am convinced by what Attorney Allen said regarding the special permit is the necessary relief given the addition of the roof deck and the space, open space need. So I would say that it certainly satisfies the bylaw to me.
All right, thank you. Again, just to recap, and I'm going to concur with my colleagues. Number of special permits applicable. I'm probably not going to be able to recite them all here, but we're in under design review because of 509 2D, multiple building with 4 or more units. Likewise, the affordable housing under section 408, we've got dimensional relief needed in the form of the side yard setback, and then also for I just want to get the number for bicycle parking. And we've got the impact statement under design review and an accompanying design presentation where we have seen the proposal presented in its context, both spatially in the neighborhood and also with respect to other projects proposed and approved at this at the complex. For this board to grant the special permits, satisfaction of the 905 conditions for granting of special permit is required. In my opinion, those conditions have been met. And I'm prepared to vote in favor. That would make it a unanimous decision and a grant of approval. Thanks, everybody. It was, I'm sorry, let me just finish. Unanimous grant of relief subject to the conditions as amended and read into the record. Thank you all. That was a little bit of work.
Thank you for that.
I think we got there.
Great
And,
job with the meeting tonight. It was very good.
All right. All right. That is our final case. I would ask now for if Steve or Wadner, we could have a motion to adjourn, and we'll vote the adjournment.
I so move.
Moved by
Second.
Steve, seconded by Wadner. On the motion to adjourn, Steve Brooks
I vote yes.
and Wadner Ajay,
Aye.
and the chair votes yes. It's unanimous. We are adjourned. Good night, and thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Good
Bye
night,
bye.
everyone.
Bye, good night.
Glad to see you, Nicole.
Nice to see you all.
Yeah.
Bye.